pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Seats review the minutes.
Yeah, got one correction.
Corrections,
Okay, would be down where the road grader total cost should be $231,050. Cause he put them add-ons on, there was 2 add-ons he added.
okay.
What?
The total, the cost for the grader was $231,050. Still, the $60,000 trade-in value, the other.
231,000?
Yeah. So $231,050.
Okay.
That would make the $60,000 trade-in jive with what the base bid of $171,000.
Okay.
He had requested 2 more add-ons to.
We had a spare tire, wheel, and snow plow
Yes.
after,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
for $37.49.
231, okay.
Otherwise, I'm good.
Those corrections, I entertain a motion to accept minutes for Tuesday, July 16th as written. Small correction.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ready to go? Oh, thanks, guys. I'm Steve Minnis. I'm listening to Ron Olling, our Chief Financial Officer. And we're here today to talk to you about possible bonding with the county. We've done this in the past. You probably read in the paper that our plans to build 2 new residence halls and renovate the cafeteria, and it's really an exciting project for us. We built a 90-bed men's dorm on Mound Street. It'd be like an extension of our Legacy Hall apartments already, so it'd be another apartment style. And then in the center of campus, where the cafeteria is, we would build a 120-bed women's dorm to the south of the cafeteria, between the cafeteria and the soccer field. And then we would also renovate the cafeteria, put a whole new face on it now, and then add seats. So we're about 600 seats in the cafeteria now. We go to 900. So we expand it to make it look nicer on the inside. It's a real game changer for us. I think it just makes that area down there really nice. And you know, when you drive on the campus, you have what I call the old Safeway store that was built in our temporary cafeteria built in '66, right? And actually, you probably knew this already, but the same architect that did that, what is now the Dollar General store. So it used to be a Safeway store, and you can see it looks just like it. And so that's what our cafeteria looks like. And it's not really matching the rest of our. Plus, it's getting old, and it's not nearly as big. You know, we serve about, it seats about 550 to 600 now. We get about 750 for dinner. So if we don't stagger that, I mean, we're really tight. So now we're going to go to 900 seats, so we'll be in pretty good shape once we do that. And it's about a $17 million project, all right? What we did is we went to our food service provider, Aramark, and asked them to invest with us, and they're going to invest $2 million. So we're about 15.2 away from doing the entire project. You may remember that we came to the county last year and refinanced, actually in this calendar year, we used $4.8 million in, is that right, 4.8? $4.8 million in bonds to refinance an old bond issue, which means that for bank qualified, non-taxable bonds, the county would have 5.2 remaining for this year, and then of course we have another 10 for the next year. So we wanted to talk to you a little bit about using that 5.2 for this year and the 10 for the next year too.
And I believe you've already used some of that 5.2, so that's not all available. If I understand correctly.
Is that right, Pat? Right.
We use 355,000.
So
Okay.
we think that, well, so what we're really asking is we want to use up the remaining portion of your bank qualified capacity for this year, and then also 10 million of next year. And then we make up the difference with the taxable bond issue, and so we'll also have to do a small taxable issue. But it would be relatively small and near term for us.
And that taxable issue comes to the county as well.
I believe we
But
get
you
your
don't-
authority, but it doesn't.
But you don't have a max on taxable, only on non-taxable. So Pat, help me out, is this a?
We've had some discussion about it, and I don't think we've reached any real conclusion. We may need to borrow some money next year,
Mhm.
and, whether that's gonna, could range anywhere from 0 to $3 million.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Closer to 0, I would guess, than 3, but,
Mhm.
we're probably gonna need some of that next year. And I don't know that we know until probably through your budget cycle at least, where we're gonna end up. I don't wanna speak for them, is there any more lending plan this year?
No,
I don't think there's no problem with this year.
this year.
Yeah.
Right, but the next year you kind of, you want to be careful.
You know, as we go through the budget process, we got just a couple things we gotta look at,
Sure.
possibly decide whether how we're gonna fund.
And you make that decision at the end of the month, is that?
Pardon?
Is that, you do your budget as of the end of?
Well, we hope by
Yeah.
August 15th.
August.
August 15th.
Oh, okay.
Has to be completely finished, publicated, and hearing by 25th of August.
Well, and I think what the structure for us in order to get the money in order to do this project is that they're gonna do a sale in September of the remaining capacity for this year. And then in November, we would probably do the second sale that wouldn't close until January, so it'd be actually for next year's. And I'm assuming, if it's closer to 0 than it is to 3 million, I mean, if there's some, then that's probably not a problem, because all we would do is do a taxable issue for the difference, so that we would need, if it's 3 million, that's a whole different. We're complicated.
We're probably looking at what,
Maybe
million and a half,
maybe 2.
million and a half to 2 million roughly.
Oh,
Maybe,
okay.
yeah, you're probably right, that $1.5 million might be the very top end too.
Okay. And then we will know all that by the end of August, so we'll have a better sense of that.
Well, we don't know yet for sure, because
We'll probably know at some point here this year.
we
Probably
may not
next month.
know it by the end of August, but we'll know by the end of the year.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood, I thought that was part of, that it wouldn't necessarily be part of the budgeting then.
Not necessarily.
Gotcha, okay.
So your other bonding that you're going to do, is it gonna be just a year-long bond then? Because we could, I think we'd certainly have the capacity to pick it up the next year if you wanted to refinance it. Yes,
Oh, I thought about that,
so,
oh, I thought about that.
I don't know, just a year-long, is that jack up your interest rate?
Well, yeah, taxable, but if it's kind of a short issue, in a couple, 2 or 3 years where we pay it off, the rates still stay pretty low. That's what they're assuming, So I guess what we could do is do taxable for all of it, to do it, and then refinance it as a taxable, not tax exempt from the following year. That's possible.
Yeah, I thought about that.
We'll certainly try as soon as we can, try and, figure out as far as what those budget needs will be.
Yeah, the complicated nature of it is that, because we're starting the project and we need to get going in order to be completed by 2014.
Okay.
So when they do a sale in September, that's not gonna be enough money, probably to get me through the end of the year. So they're gonna do that second sale, but we won't get the cash until January to actually do the construction. So we were thinking, well, the taxable piece that we'll do it maybe in conjunction with the sale in September. But, it is what it is. I think we can make it work, and actually Pat's got a good suggestion there that we could do taxable and then refinance it. I'll have to talk to the underwriter and see what he thinks about that.
I think we're willing to help you out as much as we can, and we have no
Sure.
problem with that at all.
I appreciate that.
We'll do what we can.
Just to clarify, so you think $1.5 million to $2 million is maybe what you need, but,
I think that would protect us to where, possibly, I don't think
so
so.
maybe as much as $2
That'd be
million.
pretty safe, I think.
Yeah.
So our issue could be a little bigger than what we expected.
Yeah, right.
That'll help, I mean, we can just plan along those lines, that gives us a start, so we know what you're. And you may not know that, again, when will you know how much you will need next year?
But work on that here,
We can work on it this fall, depends on whether we
yeah.
have Joe, you know, Kurt, when we pursue him yet this year, when we put him off till next year, so.
Okay. I would, I would think we're probably gonna have a better idea, probably days would be my best estimate as far as what that amount would be, where we're gonna, obviously, we're gonna try not to do that, but I mean, if, depending on what projects fall in line, what we need to do, I mean, fortunately, buildings don't get cheaper to fix up or construct, so.
Right. That sounds great.
We'll keep you posted as soon as we can, I mean, we're gonna have more discussions about what the, how far this project will be expanded, but I mean, I would say probably 1.5 to 2 in that range would probably be the most.
Okay.
Very good.
What do your bond people need? Do they need to make it, does there need to be a motion or anything, do we know? I mean, today, or is this just a conversation today?
I think this was just a conversation today,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
Once we get the
one of us to be able to
documents,
kind of
we'll
explain our, our position
Yeah.
and come and beg you for the money, I think would be.
Yeah, once we get the documentation, then we generally make a motion to,
What about the remaining funds for this year? Would you need something for that or not?
I think Jeff, right, though, you'll probably get full documentation from them. Did you get a letter from Tracy Shafton and Gilmore requesting funding?
probably, you did?
We did, I forwarded it on,
Okay.
so.
And I don't know that it required a motion at this point, but
There was no request for it.
once the actual issue
Yes.
is, then I think they
There's
need
a
to
motion.
make a motion. So, and what, can you tell me again how much is available this year for point?
We've used $355,000.
4.8 something.
Less,
That's what you, I don't remember what your bond issue was earlier.
was it 5.2?
No, we were less than five, I
Less than
think.
5, okay.
It might have been 4.8.
4.8.
So 4.8 and then five, we used 4, so we had about 4.8 available. Good enough. We haven't gotten our bids back yet either. I mean,
Sure.
and that, to a certain extent, will help us decide how much.
You're just estimating right now, this is what you need for all the projects.
Yeah, if we get a shock, it's real low, I don't know, it's not.
That would be a good problem for all.
I know. You guys heard anything about construction costs?
We bid out some windows and it came in cheaper than we.
Yeah.
So we were totally
I'm surprised. We were very
totally
surprised.
shocked, but we're not done, we started the project, and we still have to deal with the change orders. so-
Sure, oh, sure.
But as of right now, we're, we're way under the budget.
Oh,
I think it's still a pretty competitive market out there. I don't think commercial or industrial is really booming yet.
No, that's my sense too. Wilson and that's at what, 5 or 6 companies, so.
Yeah.
They're competitive, I think. And it's stick, brick construction. so.
Yeah.
All right, anything else?
Anything else, Ron?
Thanks, guys.
We'll try to keep you looking.
Appreciate it.
Parking lot there.
Yeah, I'll be fortunate, about half of it.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're gonna pay between Fink and St. Benedict's Church, and I have a little bit of parking there, and we'll have a new parking lot over by the apartment too. And then, as you guys probably know, we're gonna move baseball and softball to the
that's
north.
right.
Yeah.
So we're planning on we've kind of cordoned off the infield of baseball once that gets moved for a parking lot, and that's probably too much. Our problem, I always tell folks, we don't have a parking problem, we have a physical fitness problem. Because we have plenty of parking, but it's just not near the door that people want to walk in, right? We have, in fact, we just did announcements, we have 1,300 parking spots and less than 1,000 parking stickers. So we have less than 1,000 cars, 20 parking spots, but we have 1,300. But, it doesn't feel like we have parking, because, people come for ball games, basketball games, and you can't find a place to park, and I understand that, but nobody wants to park out by the hospital.
And then walk down to classes.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to either, right, but that's where our parking is. But if we can do parking up there at the old hospital and then do parking on the old baseball field, all of a sudden you've got both ends of the campus kind of, covered parking lots. Anyway. Hey, thanks, guys, appreciate it, yeah. See you, man.
a lot of building then on that, places, parking lots.
Budget on, what do you do?
I just saw that. Did it explain what they're?
It's got some stuff in there, but.
Are they waiting on me?
What's that?
I said, was everybody waiting on me?
We just got to, we just run 2 people out now.
Oh, good, okay. Just the adjustments and everything. That'll work. Are you ready for me?
I think we're ready.
Oh, okay.
We're on schedule.
All right, cool.
If you're ready for it.
I'm ready. Do you guys all have drafts of the audit and everything?
My printer was low on ink, so I didn't print it all.
I didn't get mine. Got an electronic version.
I didn't print the full audit, but
You got the next one.
I don't know if I ever saw the letter to.
you got the comment.
Okay, okay, thank you. I didn't have that one, but.
You have a copy or not? You have a copy of this?
Downstairs. Oh, wait a minute, is that?
That's the comment letter, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, and as far as the audit itself goes, we did have some adjustments, made, but nothing that was, too terribly, misstated or anything like that. We had a couple of transfers and things that we had to correct. So as far as the audit goes itself, the report and everything will be a unqualified opinion, no material misstatements to report. But I will kind of just go through in general some of the notes and some of the things that I wanted to point out. So the numbers that you've seen haven't changed a whole lot, other than a few line items here and there. So as far as that goes, cash balances and all that stuff, most of that stuff didn't change dramatically or anything from what you've already seen. A lot of our adjustments are the cash accounts that are accounted for off the So, what I will point out is under your, you guys don't have a printout, but the report did change pretty significantly from previous years due to standards. So like our audit and accounting standards have changed significantly, so our reporting requirements have changed in how it looks under the Kansas Municipal Audit Guide and Accounting Guide. So it will look a little different possibly, from the previous year, from what you're used to seeing. And our letter itself has gone from 1 page to 2 pages on the audit report itself, and it's added headings and things like that, but nothing, nothing in the content has really changed, it's just the look of it that's changed. So we do say that it will be an unqualified opinion, or that we found no material misstatements to report. I will point out on the budget to actual, you had one fund that was over budget, and that was the tort liability, and I believe that's because at the end of the year, you transferred the remaining cash balance that was in that fund, and it's because you're closing that fund, which caused it to go over budget, because you originally had budgeted for that transfer. So, not a real big, huge deal or anything. also in note we talk about different compliance-related issues that you do have. One thing I wanted to talk about today was your capital improvement funds. You guys have some department funds being deposited directly into that fund. And that capital improvement fund established by, statute only allows for transfers to meet to that fund. You
Transfer to the operating
transfer
fund.
it as budgeted transfers from your general fund.
So it needs, what you're just saying, basically, you start in the general fund, then it transfers.
Yeah.
Instead of going directly in, so it's
Right.
another step.
Right, because it's, by depositing those funds directly into that, they're not being accounted for under a budget.
Can that be
situation.
done in the same year, though? I mean, can you?
Sure,
Let me just give you an example.
as long as you have budget authority, I should say.
Okay, we possibly have the opportunity of, the state's gonna turn the road over to us. And,
Okay.
and they're gonna pay us $600-some thousand.
Uh-huh.
With that money, we put that in the general fund, then can we transfer it over to road and bridge, somewhere to capital improvement fund then from there, or what?
Budget can't only spend any, I mean.
Oh, yeah, even if you don't have, you could amend the budget. Are they giving you money for the road
For us,
itself?
the agreement is we take over the maintenance of the road from here on out.
Oh, okay, so they're
It's a
transferring the
one-time,
funds
yeah.
to you, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would be able to transfer those probably to your special road and bridge. It's assuming, I would assume that they.
But does it
want
need to go
send
through the
that money.
general first?
Through your road and bridge fund, yeah, which, yes, you guys, yeah,
So,
you
so
have it
in
combined.
other words, it would go in, like, you could put it in the general fund
Yeah.
and then take it and transfer it then over from there.
Right.
Rather than put it directly in to the road.
Right.
Special road and bridge, it needs to go through the general.
Right, and the special, and one of the other ones I was gonna point out was your special road and bridge. That one is actually legally limited to 25% of the budget that can be transferred at any one time. So when you actually take money and deposit it in there, that's in effect a transfer, so you have to be sure that you're not transferring more than 25% of those tax dollars into that fund, because it's limited each year to how much you can transfer into the road and bridge fund. The
Would
special
this
road
be
and bridge.
considered tax money because it's,
I don't think so. I think you'd be fine with transferring that money, which reclassifying those funds as part of that. Because I would assume that the state,
Yeah,
they're
I mean,
giving
it's
you that
not-
money, they're wanting you to use those funds towards, whether it's that road or another road, that they want you to use that road and bridge, I'm sure, and not
Right.
some other general fund activity, I guess.
So, yeah, so that really wouldn't apply, necessarily, that 25% probably wouldn't apply.
No, and depending on how much, because you're bringing that money in, it really wouldn't change that percentage amount anyway, because it would have upped your total percent, so as long as you're already within that 25%, it should be fine. Now, if it causes you to go over budget, you just need to amend your budget for those additional funds that you received. But since it's all in the general fund, you'd be looking at that total budget line, so it may not cause you to go over budget in total. It might cause you to go over budget in that department, but not necessarily in total. So just those two things, anytime you have any of those capital improvement funds, it should be budgeted transfers if you're taking the money from the tax fund. Those funds, unless there's barring a special statute, like, statute that allows you to keep that revenue separate from your general fund budget, for budgeting purposes and stuff, all that money should go into that regular fund, and then transferred out.
can I ask a question on, if they purchase something from the special for machinery or, whatever, special road, whatever that fund is,
Uh-huh.
and then they sell that, they can't put it back in there, it has to go through the general fund? If they purchase it through that.
If they've bought it from there, because it's probably done, I would assume it's done in a different year, it should go back to the general, yeah. Now, if it was something that you were reimbursing that fund, some people would look at that as a reimbursement to that fund because you've bought that piece of equipment out of there and now you've sold it. But overall, it's still county money, it's still tax dollars that originally purchased that, most likely, because it was a transfer at some point. So it's still your tax dollars that's paying for that.
So it's still ought to come back to, say, for example, road and bridge, and then if there's money left over at the end of the year, you then can transfer the remaining balance into
Right.
that fund again.
Right, right. You know, sometimes you might have something where the road and bridge is paying, where you use the special road and bridge money to pay for a project that maybe another city is participating in, that is, like, I don't know, like, shared bridge, or the county and the city are sharing it in cost. You might get money from that other entity to reimburse you, and that could go directly into that fund, because it's all that one project that's being paid for at that time. So you're basically just being reimbursed for part of that project that, like, if you partnered with the city of Atchison to do something. And you're paying for it all out of that fund. Now, if you're paying for the majority out of it, out of the general road and bridge fund, you know, the general fund itself, then you'd wanna put those reimbursement funds back in there. So as far as the audit goes, the rest of it, the notes and everything are pretty similar, you know, nothing major has changed there. Did you guys have a chance to look at the draft at all, or at any point?
I just
Did
give it
you
a
have
real
any
quick.
specific questions you wanted me to go through on the audit itself?
You know, we all have two or three other questions for Sam. As long as we can operate for one more year without going to jail, that's the main thing we're after.
Was you gonna ask something about the road grader?
Yeah, we will, that's when I put the question once we get there.
Okay.
And I guess maybe Melanie, back to your point on, say, for example, on page 5 there.
Are you looking at the audit itself or the comments?
The comments.
The comments, okay, I have
For
it.
example, said that we sold some county properties for 33, you know, those receipts went directly into the capital improvement fund. They should have been, are you saying that money should have went right back to the original department and then
Right,
in the general fund?
Right.
And then at the end of the year, then transfer.
and it doesn't have to be the end of the year.
Right.
It's just, yeah, I mean, you
It
could
needs to be,
theoretically
yeah.
put it in there and transfer it back out. The whole thing is it needs to be, accounted for in that budgeted
In
fund
that-
first,
Okay.
so that, yeah, so that you're not diverting funds over to a non-budgeted fund, you know. It doesn't look like you're trying to hide something or anything like that,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. Yeah, I understand
Not that
that.
I think that's what was going on, I mean, I think intently you guys wanted to put this towards, I'm sure you said that.
We were
this
just,
was that.
it appears that just one step was,
Right, right.
yeah.
And that, the idea is to make sure that you still had at the end of the year that budget authority to make that transfer. Now, whether you wait till the end of the year to do it, you know, that's,
So we just have to be sure that we have a budget in there.
right,
In
right.
other words, yeah, it would be better to
Do a
put,
budget and that probably to increase it.
Yeah, if you're gonna be over budget, right.
Like the sales right now, we probably need to increase.
Right, and what you would do in the future years is just budget for that revenue, like if you're on average getting $14,000 a year in scrap metal, you know, just budget that and budget that as a transfer, you know, like for that.
then you could do it then, but if you don't budget, then you would bring it in as income, it's still, it would cover you if you had it over budget.
If you went over budget, right, right.
To me, that's probably the safest thing to do, just is to
So-
wait till the end of the year.
Since they've done it this year, shall we do a journal entry and move it over into the general fund? Because they have sold some right now.
They have, what you could do at this point is just, probably just do one big journal entry to put it back into the general fund, and if they wanna transfer it, I mean, it's, yeah. And then just approve that.
Is that in solid waste? It's, yeah.
Do it that way.
I think probably ought to put, we probably ought to put that back, because when they come up a little bit short there.
Page 6 is a little disturbing.
Yeah, there are, if you're ready to move on to those comments, I
Oh, I'm sorry, you will finish with her,
Yeah, I just wanted to while we're kind of on that subject,
Yeah.
get clarification on that. and see.
Right. And so this letter as a whole, the first couple pages, are just kind of our general comments about the audit itself and the process that we go through. We're just required to discuss that with you and whether or not we had any problems or anything like that, which we didn't discuss. The first comment is one that we pretty much make every year, just regarding the fact that we're assisting in the preparation and things like that. And do you still have Chase working?
We got another, well, Chase is still working, but we got another guy doing the budget.
Oh, you did, okay, okay. And just, making sure that you have someone that is able to, take our financial statements and understand, what's changed and things like that and whatever. So, and then there's, so that's just a comment we have to make. And then the second we've gone through, those are the violations. And the third one, this one has been a concern for us this year.
You on page 6?
On page 6, number 3, yeah. Anytime you guys approve a new fund to be formed, whether it's a new bank account or a new fund, a new special revenue fund or whatever, you as a commission need to decide, what money is going into that fund. One, is there a statute that allows that money to be maintained separate? Or is there a special statute, that dictates how those funds are to be spent? Two, if there is no special statute or anything that dictates those kinds of things, then you guys need to define what kind of money is going to go into this new fund, how that money is to be spent, and, just an overall process for those dollars to be spent. It's one thing to allow the department head to be in charge of that account, it's another thing to not have any oversight over that account and not know what's running in and out of that account at any time. So I know that you guys had approved the sheriff's, fund for the crime prevention fund, or this new account, and I assume that it was, when he approached me about it, it was to take in donations and to be able to pay out some donations to organizations without having to run it through the whole, warrant process, which is typical. We see that in a lot of counties where there's no kinds of funds like that for the sheriff's department. So, that part isn't that big of a deal as long as it's being monitored and as long as someone has some oversight over it. What we ran into here when we were going through it was, on that first issue, one of the very first deposits that was made in May, that check was dated December of 2011. So why those funds were being held for 5 months, no one knows. And when the current sheriff didn't have any documentation as to what that check was for, but he assumed it was for some kind of it indicated state project, so it's some kind of thing where they were either supposed to do a program, or, I don't know if they went to a school or did something or what. So we're not able to tell whether that money was spent for its desired purpose or not, or if it was just, a donation to the sheriff's department, So that's a concern, that money is being held for that long, and no one is really accounting for it or knows about it and what it's being used for. The second thing is several items ran through that account, that Sheriff's Crime Prevention Fund, for the purchase of supplies and things like suckers and things, I assume, are to hand out to kids and, things that police officers do. So I'm not questioning that they were inappropriate or anything, I don't know. But the idea was that there were no bank reconciliations being performed on this account. There were no...
Crime prevention?
Yeah, that crime
It was
prevention.
approved in 2012?
The fund
I
was
think it used to
approved.
be called, DARE?
I wonder if it was something else.
No, the DARE is separate.
The DARE separate?
There was a separate bank account for the DARE, which had $50 in it or 25, I don't remember, like some very small amount in it, like, that was from the DARE program, which has been eliminated, I think, in the sheriff's department several years back, and so there was a little bit of extra funds sitting in it. I think that fund's been closed according to the current sheriff. But the crime prevention, you previously had it, or still have a crime prevention fund on the books that runs through the regular checking account and everything, and that was taking in, I think, the sale of vehicles and things like that. There was money going into that from that, and then there were some donations, I think, originally going into that. And being spent basically outside of the general fund budget, or the sheriff's fund budget. And then I think it was in April maybe, I don't know if I stayed here, I think it was in April, that a new checking account was approved for him to transfer some of the funds out of that crime prevention fund that was on the books to this checking account. And that's the part that, like, that was approved, but there was no approval of, like, what those funds were gonna be used for. Or at least it wasn't discussed in the minutes, and I don't think there was any kind of a resolution or anything like that, stating what that fund was necessarily to be used for. Now, what it ended up being used for was, you know, to purchase some of these various supplies, some advertising, a DARE video, some other things there. And then most of it went to other, like, local not-for-profit organizations, I assume for donations. And then there was one that went to, I believe it was the officer that was killed, his wife, as a memorial, which is questionable, writing a check directly to someone individually.
An individual.
Yeah, to an individual versus, you know, writing it to the memorial or writing it to, whatever the organization is that they're donating to.
So do we need to go back and get receipts then for these things that there aren't receipts for? Or is it not worth doing?
The only thing that I did not, like, as far as the receipts go, there were receipts for all the supplies. There were, you know, there were statements and things for the advertising, the DARE video. You know, that stuff was there. I assumed it was for legit things, you know, I don't have any other reason not to assume that. But the ones that were donated to the different organizations, like a couple schools, a couple, can't even think what they were all to, but I know what the checks were written to. There was just no documentation as to, you know.
Oh, they didn't have documentation who they gave it to?
I have a copy of it, I had checks, so I had the check written out too. I had a printout of in the bank statement, you know, so I knew who they went to. But there was no receipt from that organization of receiving it, or, you know, whether it was for a specific type thing. I mean, which is fine. I mean, a lot of times that's what people use as their receipt to a donation, to, you know. But the other one, you know, to the individual, that's a little more questionable because it was directly to an individual. And I understand it was, you know, what it was for. I understand that, so I'm not. But the problem with that is there's just no oversight. So, you know, were these related party issues, were these, you know, organizations that family members were involved with, you know, those kinds of things, and because nobody's oversighting that, nobody's approving these donations to be made, you know, are these things that the county wants to be associated with, you know, I don't know. That kind of stuff, is where I'm looking at it from, you know, and whether or not it was approved and whether or not these are the kinds of things that the county wants to be doing with the money that they're getting. So that account though was essentially wiped out by the end of the year. It's now zero in 2013. I think he's closed it. He's not using it. The new sheriff is using.
So this is a federal bank account?
Mm-hmm.
Because we also paid some through the.
Yes, through the regular crime prevention fund, right? Or the, what do you want to call it? Yeah, there were two funds.
Through the county.
Through the county operation.
Through our actual.
Right. Right, these were all, and the only money that came into it was that $1,000 check for the stage project, and then the transfer that you guys originally approved. So there was no other additional funds that came in that I knew of, so. At least going through the bank statement.
But before you turn the page there, I didn't see, what about the sheriff's reserve and the closing bid? Is that addressed later?
It is addressed, but we can talk about it now too.
No, I'll wait till later.
Okay, no, I mean, either way, it's kind of the same situation with the sheriff's reserve also. You know, money was spent. The problem with the sheriff's reserve is it's a separate organization, and they did have different people
Where is that?
writing the checks and stuff. It is talked about in the page 9, in the internal controls discussion on page 9 and 10. Is that right?
Okay, let's, I suggest keeping with the order we have in here, so we don't.
Okay.
lose track.
Yeah, okay. So, do you guys have any questions on that, on kind of what I'm getting at, as far as what should be done in the future if we're gonna have these kinds of funds and things like that? Just make sure that the commission's one aware of it too, that, you know, you really define how you want that fund to be used. And that goes for any fund, you know, even not just separate bank accounts, but any fund that you establish for the county. Number 7 is just kind of the same comment we made in the previous years regarding the grants management. I think there's been some strides, you know, to kind of try to start accounting for all of the grants and making sure, you know, whether or not, you know, when there's a single lot and things like that. So I think I'm just really going to stress trying to implement something countywide, that everybody's doing the grants the same way, and that maybe all of the grant information is being turned into a central department to make sure that everything is being accounted for when you determine whether or not you need that single audit or not with federal programs. The other thing on that would be the reporting and ensuring that there's a way of knowing that what's being reported to these outside agencies agrees with what's in your county general ledger.
Do you have any idea how many grants, what number of grants there were last year? Because I wonder if we haven't been overthinking this about making it somebody's job responsibility or whatnot, if it couldn't just be a commission responsibility. All grants need to be reported to the commission.
Well, definitely all grants need to be reported to the commission. What we're looking at is last year there was, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 separate grant funds, and then there are a few, let's see, that's not half and then you have the health department that has a few grants that run directly through theirs. And the Home for the Aged has some grant running through there, and then the council, and then not the council, Virginia has it goes.
Well, those grants are the health department because we belong to multi-county, it's a separate entity.
Not the health department, the health,
Senior village?
Senior village, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
senior village, okay, so
Yeah.
there's several, and I know, I think we have got, you know, grants through emergency management too. I know we got one.
Right, and not only grants, you know, you'd be looking at things like KDOT, you're running like projects, that those are not.
Like a bridge
not-
or sharing.
Yes, if they share, you know, so there, a lot of times the KDOT monies have a portion of it is federal.
Right.
So knowing what's federal and not federal, and when you're looking at the federal audit requirements, you're looking at the countywide as a whole. So you have to consider every little grant together when you're determining whether or not you meet that threshold, which is $500,000 right now. Hopefully to move up to $750,000 in the next year or two. We'll see. So I'm not asking that you have one department have to really do a whole lot of work other than to maintain not even just one department, but have someone that's able to at least maintain all the documentation. And overall, you know that if the department is responsible for turning in the reports that they're filing, at least you know they're being done, you know? And there's at least some oversight going on there. Now, whether or not that person has to go in and, you know, really look at those reports that are being filed and make, you know, and check for compliance and things like that, I would still leave that up to the department that's responsible for ensuring that they're compliant with that grant. But the main thing is to make sure you all are aware of what grants are out there and what could throw you into, you know, the federal audit requirements and knowing when that's a possibility.
I haven't had to deal with it yet, but, like federal funds come to the state, do they designate what are state funds and what are federal funds, when we get that, or say a bridge, I mean, is that?
Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because a lot of
Yeah.
times, I mean, it's all lumped in and.
When it's your revolving loan, like when you do the KDOT revolving loans and things like that, it's usually spelled out when you're signing the document. And a lot of times the grants are too, but the state sometimes, we've had come back a year later and reclassify funds between state and federal funds based upon their state budget. So it's not, I mean, and when we've had that happen, we haven't gone back and said, oh, you need to single audit now. I mean, it's not something you have any control over a lot of times on that, but usually like, a lot of the state projects now are running through that federal, I can't think of what the program is exactly called, but it's a federal grant share, but it actually loses the federal attribute when it makes it down to the local government.
So it just
So
kind of
it
pays
ends
the
up being
state,
state
and
funds.
then the state becomes the administrator.
Exactly. So a lot of their projects are moving towards the state funds, and it's not as big of a deal as a lot of times when you're in those revolving loans, like if you had to do KHE or KDOT revolving loans, those are usually about an 80-20, 75-25 split there for that. And then, you know, other things a lot of times KDOT will come in and actually do the project for you and maintain the expenses and pay for it, but it's still your project as a county or a local government. And that's technically grant funds to you, even though you may not see a dollar of it. So even though they may pay all the funds out and you may reimburse them or whatever for your portion, but those are still state funds that are your grant dollars. You're just not managing the project itself. So those are things that you have to kind of consider when you're looking at those. All right, and if we move on to page 9, that's where we go into just the overall internal control structure of the county and the decentralized receipts and things like that. And really what I want to point out here is a lot of these issues that we bring about could somewhat be solved if there was county-wide policies over some of these issues and a standardized process that all the departments, you know, kind of followed and things like that. Because everybody kind of does things differently. And another area we see is just making sure the departments understand those reports that they're getting and understand how to read those budgets, you know, what they're looking at when they get those reports. Because I know they're confusing, and I know there was some discussion, or at least I had talked to Chase before about trying to change software and things like that. And I don't know that changing software is going to help you as far as understanding those reports, you know, because a lot of the softwares are complicated regardless of whether you stay with the one you're at or go to another one. A lot of them are complicated because of the funds accounting, and you throw in the KMAG requirements, which is a lot different than a lot of the software programs are built to handle, because they're usually doing, you know, things like that. So, I think the important thing is to make sure that the department heads understand the general ledger system itself, understand the general ledger coding and where they should be coding their expenses and receipts to, and understand the reports they're getting to know whether or not, you know, so that they can be responsible for their departments as far as looking at their budget to actuals and things like that.
But it's important that it would be pretty well standardized among those departments.
Right, and if it's standardized, it's a lot easier to go from department to department. Same with, what are the information they're providing to the commission and things like that, if you can standardize that, obviously.
Because if everybody's using the same program, I guess that's the way we're all can, that's what I imagine, but everything is coded, each department or operation is coded, but then you got sections that are coded. It's pretty easy to access specific information, just like flip of a button, you might say, or
Yeah.
on a computer, what you're doing. And, that's what I'm saying is if we had a system like simply that, so that all departments are using exactly the same system, entering it would probably simplify
Mhm.
entries and/or access to specific information.
Yeah. That would give them the access that they're needing
Well,
to.
anyone,
Yeah.
anybody, even though maybe one or two people maybe enter data that everybody could understand, this is the code, if I want to find out what it's costing me, Futman Road and Bridge, bing,
Right.
that Matt could, he could access that and get that number real quick, so-
Right,
so,
right.
okay.
So we'll just go down through these, the decentralized receipts, these are things that we, obviously we've brought to you guys' attention. There's a few things that I wanna really kind of hit on this year that, we kind of discussed, some of it already too. But the decentralized receipts, just overall, every department's collecting their own receipts for different things. Most of it's immaterial, most of it, isn't gonna make a lot of difference to your financial statements necessarily, yet you don't want to have any appearance that there's lack of controls in those departments or that funds, could be misplaced or lost or whatnot. So just implement it if you can have an overall countywide policy on how each department should handle their receipts. And I'm not saying you should dictate exactly the process that they should use in each department, but just an overall, this is what we want as far as deposits need to be made weekly to the treasurer's office unless you have, a certain amount of money that come in daily, then you should be depositing it daily, those kinds of things, just overall policies and procedures. Obviously segregation of duties, if you can limit someone from being able to do step 1 all the way to step 5 without any intervention, but obviously there are some departments you just can't do that because there's only 1 or 2 people there, so having some oversight over that overall by the department head or by someone else, helps to mitigate some of those.
I'm sorry, I'm saying on the segregation duties with part B.
Uh-huh.
The reconciliations, we've talked about this like in the past.
Mhm.
Is there like a standard or statute that they're supposed to be reconciled? I would think that would be a pretty big deal if you're not reconciling statements on a monthly basis, wouldn't you? Assume that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's no statute as far as the state
But
statute.
it's like a standard business practice. You should
Right.
be reconciling those monthly.
But it'd be good to,
That's-
Mark May can get that to me, or, because I don't reconcile what I should.
It is a very good business practice to reconcile, especially if you're maintaining separate bank accounts outside of the treasurer's, office, those really need to be
Do
reconciled.
we have any idea like how many accounts we have outside the treasurer's?
Oh, yeah, we do. Well, the ones that we're.
I have 2, but one's withholding and one's
Yeah.
being
What was the first one from?
withholding. And when I do my withholding, then IRS will go to that bank account and pull that money. Instead of
Because
going
it's all
into the
electronic.
county's account where
Yeah,
it goes into that.
so that you limit the
It's in and
access
out
to the
account.
main checking account.
It's just an in and out account.
You have district court,
With the fishing game, is that what they pay?
Fishing game is when we sell fishing and hunting and boat permits,
License.
and that money goes directly into there, and the fishing game pulls that out.
Well, what about, and is that where's the income, they say they pay us for the county lake.
That goes to county general.
That goes in county general.
Yeah, that's a fee, and it goes into county general. We don't-
All right, sorry, no.
We
No,
don't,
that's
we
okay.
don't, we don't pocket it.
No. The county attorney has a fund, which has very little money that runs through it, but I think it is the well, it's not even a diversion fund, I haven't quite determined, there's only $42 in it, and
Does that check that?
I think it's the bad checks that run through that, and they get to keep a fee off of it. So when they get a bad check, you know, it goes in there and they pay that out to the department or whatnot. The law library is a separate fund. The DARE activity fund, and this is that fund that the sheriff had, and it had $130 in it, I guess, at the end of the year. That's that DARE program that basically, you know, is no longer an active program. And I believe the current sheriff has told me that those funds were closed at the end of, or in 2013. Then the fishing game account, the withholding account, and then you have the inmate funds, which we'll talk about, which are the funds that are collected from the inmates when they're incarcerated and whatnot. And then this crime prevention fund on the sheriff, and again, that fund is closed in 2013. So those are the funds that we know about, and I don't think that there's anything else out there. So on that, with that said, in B1C there, these are kind of the areas that we have identified as a little bit more risk because of either there's a lack of segregation of duties or a lack of oversight that we've kind of identified. Most of this is not material, yet we want to make sure that everybody's aware of it. First, the sheriff's inmate fund. There is one individual downstairs that is responsible for this entire fund. And when I spoke with the current sheriff, he was new enough at that point that he still wasn't into the swing of how everything was being done. So during that period, for sure, there's been no oversight. And I don't know now if he's implemented anything to review that, but there really needs to be someone else looking at that account, because those funds are not the county funds. Those are, individual funds. And the concern there is, and this is something we brought up in the previous year, is that they have these outstanding balances due to previous inmates that are no longer incarcerated, and some of them are several years old. And they also have, I think, outstanding checks that were actually issued to the inmates to give them their money back that were not cash. So, and she's asked me, like,
I think
how to handle that.
I think they've addressed it for the future. I think what John Calhoun told me was that they were going to just change their agreements on the new funds coming in, that they were going to have like a $3 per month maintenance fee or something like that. So if there were funds left there, they would eventually be eaten up with that maintenance fee.
I'm not sure though, on the statute, if the statute would allow for that maintenance fee on that inmate fund.
Is there a statute on that?
Yes, there are a couple, I didn't bring them with me, but I'll email that statute. There's a couple statutes that allow them to make an agreement with the inmate, make them sign something that says, if you end up getting assessed court fees that are due to the sheriff's office, whether it be because of medical expenses and things like that, that those funds can be used to apply towards any of that kind of thing. But as far as actually keeping a fee for holding those funds, that I haven't found one that says you can't do it, but but the statute itself doesn't say you can do it. So, I don't know. There's not one that says that this is not okay to do, necessarily, I don't think. If that's what they're gonna do, that's fine. I would say that there should still be a limit, like you shouldn't hold $200 for 3 years until that $3 fee is used up. That money, there should be a policy in place to say, we're gonna give these guys their money back the day they walk out of here, or within 10, there's a problem with doing it the day they walk out, because you don't always have someone there to sign check to them. So, and I get that, but there should still be a 10-day something policy that says we're gonna issue these funds, once they've been released.
I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is the people disappear and they don't know where they went. Or they go from our jail to Leavenworth County Jail, and,
Yeah.
or they go to prison, or, just keeping track of them that way. I don't think it's a desire to not give them the money back. In fact, I know that they tried. As you noted, there were several of them that they wrote checks to, the checks just
Right.
weren't clear.
Right, there's outstanding checks. And that's the part where I have researched the statutes to find out if those are required to go to the state for unclaimed property or not. And the unclaimed property list is huge, it's like 5 pages long, of things that qualify as unclaimed property, but of course that specific thing is not in there.
How long do we have to keep it before we can, if we can declare an unclaimed property 10 days after they're gone, if we don't know where they are,
Well,
we can do that.
It's,
How long do we have to?
for county warrants, it's 2 years. For payroll tax, it's 1 year. The other stuff, I think it's 2 years, like all the other general elements. There's a big old list of what's considered unclaimed property, and I think it's 2 years. Which I get is a pain in the rear to have to reconcile for 2 years, like, these funds, hold on to these funds for 2 years, and, I know there's a process that, posting. The thing is, I don't know that it even qualifies, so it may qualify as once it's unclaimed, that it's the county fund, that the county gets to keep it, I haven't been able to find enough information in the statute to say one way or the other, so I don't know if there's an attorney general's opinion out there that possibly might exist regarding these types of funds. The other question that has come up, not just at this county, but other counties, is tax refunds. When you issue a tax refund check to someone, we've got several counties that can't get those checks cashed, and they've got outstanding, and they're like $2 checks and a $1.50 check here. Is it really worth sending it to unclaimed property? Yeah, it's not really the county money, those kinds of things. And I know some of the accounts that they have sitting out there are like 50 cents, and I would probably say you set in your policy a threshold of anything under $2 you're not going to refund, or something. I would guess that would be okay to do, or under $1, under, whatever, you're just going to write that account off. But there were a couple that was $100+ that are sitting out there, and they're actually outstanding checks. So I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, just not cash checks. So they attempted to give the money back to them. They just can't find them. So, but that kind of thing, those are the kinds of things that should be in that policy as far as what's going to happen. And as long, I guess, if the fee is what's going to happen, and as long as the inmate is aware of it at the time that they're giving their money, then I think that's all I can do. But our concern is more that there's only one person maintaining that entire account, and there's no oversight, checks could be written to anybody, and nobody would really know, especially those inmates that do walk away and can't find, what if somebody was out there just writing checks off of that account, because,
So that.
not that I think that's happening, but,
Sure.
it's
That's
just,
something that should be included in the policy. That there'd be 2 people, somebody to oversee it,
yeah. Yeah,
even
and-
if they're within that department.
Yeah, and even if it's we talked about changing job, have someone step in there for a week and do it. Even if it's just a matter of just making sure that there's someone else that can do it, first of all. I'm not sure that they're cross-trained down there enough that,
No, that'd be like Missy and Sue.
yeah. So, just things like that, just making sure that there's some oversight. Now, maybe the sheriff has implemented something at this point, when we were down there, he just got started and was still learning how everything was going on and trying to, get acquainted with all that, so. You know what, I don't have the sheriff's reserve fund on here. I need to add that. Because I have the DARE and the crime prevention.
Well,
Yeah, I thought you had it someplace.
I thought I did too.
I thought I read it, was it in the actual audit?
It was in, I I seen it on your original audit
It
draft.
was
the
on
actual
your audit
audit
draft, no, I mean,
Yeah, you'd mentioned that in there, that it had been closed.
Isn't there a requirement that they, when they close up shop, that they file an IRS form? So is it 990, or is it different form?
Because they are under the receipts and asset valuation, they weren't required to file a 990.
Even when they close up shop?
I believe they're supposed to file something, yes, to say, hey, we're done.
Okay, when is that due, do you know? And I'm not trying to play stuff,
No, I know.
either, but, well, should it have been filed by now?
Yeah,
And
I would assume so.
how would we know when the one has been filed? Is there a website you can get those from?
I don't know if that website, since they don't file 990s, that website that I use to get copies of 990s, they aren't out there. I mean, they're on there, you see the organization, but they don't have the 990s or anything. So I don't know if that would indicate or not.
What would that raise him, you know, he was the one kind of active, would he know? He's the one that seemed to be kind of ahead of, I wondered if he would be the one
I
that,
suppose I could write to him to ask if he.
just ask him whether they filed anything, and maybe they need to check to make sure. But sometimes in form, it's hard to access somebody else's, you know.
Yeah, unless on the IRS side, unless you're somewhere listed on there, you can't just request
Chandra?
documents.
Exactly.
I bet Chandra would be the one to contact.
Who?
Chandra.
Well, they're probably,
Oh, yeah. That's
how many
right.
people are on the account to sign off on it? I think there's probably like a couple of people.
I think there were only 5 total in the,
Well, either one of them, I think we have mentioned, he was the one who was up here several times, clarifying, like, tell us that there's gonna be this bad. So he seemed to be one of those proactive involved at that time, yeah, she would be part of it too, so.
do you know what the website is that you guys use to search for them?
I can't remember what it's called, GuideStar.com. There's a couple websites that are nonprofit websites that, because the 990s are public information, so if they don't put it on their own website, usually you can get them off of these free websites, or at least get part of the information. Usually the 990s are available. But they didn't meet any of the thresholds to file that kind of stuff. Assuming they filed it in 23, but they were on that website, so they were recognized by the IRS as part of the nonprofit. But with that account also, and I can't think of where I put it, but I know I might have to add a comment on this letter too, but with that account, they did close it. I did get the accounting on it. Or at least the accounting from the accountant that was maintaining it, reconciliations and doing a compilation for them, I believe. So we were able to at least include it in the audit. I don't know, exactly, I looked at the expenses and things, I didn't see anything that looked completely and totally out of the ordinary or anything. I didn't see payments to individuals or anything like that. They did have a lot of donations and stuff like that, but I think that was their purpose. It's on their bylaws or whatever I have a copy of the bylaws, I think. That was kind of their purpose, was to run some of those programs and to do things like that.
I think the only big concern was at the end was matching up the receipts of like donations and what was purchased versus what was liquidated. There's some concern about if some of it was true sheriff, who really owned it, if it was being utilized by sheriff's
Yeah.
department, I guess that was the area I think we were really
Yeah.
definitely concerned.
And I don't think there was any documentation of previous equipment that was purchased and, things like that. When I did ask about that, and they don't, because they don't have to do fixed assets in their financial statements, they don't have a fixed asset schedule, so I don't know what kind of equipment was previously purchased and what happened to that equipment per se.
Supposedly it was a trailer.
The thing with it is the whole organization was formed by the sheriff and controlled by the sheriff and insured by the county. You know, but everything else was separate.
So we sort of owned it.
Yeah.
Like a cost share.
But I don't know what their original 1023 when they filed yet for, like, that would have spelled out what happens when the organization expands, what happens to the assets. And whether or not that said they were gonna go to another nonprofit, which a lot of the checks at the end of it went to nonprofit organizations. So whether or not it spelled out it's gonna go to, you know, specific nonprofit or even revert back to the county, that's, you know, without having that document, I don't know how that was established. But
So
there,
that's the 1023.
the Form 1023 is what they would have had to file to gain exempt status.
Okay, because I think we did find out, I don't think it said.
It did say.
Yeah.
I know that the bylaws don't say, the copy of the bylaws I have don't say like what would happen if it expands. And a lot of times it's very generic, you know, it's not gonna necessarily name a specific, it's just gonna say that it'll be given to another organization with like-minded activities and things like that. So, you know, our recommendations on that, just overall internal controls, is trying to have a more standardized policy, especially with the receipts and things like that, making sure that the departments are responsible for coding those receipts and doing those kinds of things. On B2, we talked more about receipts and differences between the reimbursements and transfers and things like that, like we've discussed the previous years, which it has gotten, you know, much better, so, you know, it's just continuing to improve. I think some of these things are just carried forward as changes are being made, so. On the last comment, the payroll comment, the only thing I'm not sure is, when you do payroll, does it have to run through that, clearing account, or can you just charge the payroll directly to each fund and department?
It does go through each department, but it throws it over into the payroll clearing.
That it throws it, so you're not actually physically making any of those journal entries that are going in there? Part of what we found was there was some payroll running through, a contractual account for the,
I didn't see that one yard.
no, the senior budget runs through its own clearing, and then the Department on Aging runs through its own clearing. And then journal entries are made though to the different grant funds. But most of those kind of reconciled out, we were able, but we're still having getting a difference between, I think, the senior village and their employee benefits, and trying to figure out that difference. Because it's not really tying out to what, but we don't, it's really hard to track anyways, because you don't, a lot of times when you pay that Blue Cross, you know, insurance, it's hard to know what employee you're paying.
Yeah, because when we get the big scans of billing,
Yeah.
it's different than what we take out of the payroll.
Exactly. And because there's always changes and things like that, so,
I'm trying to.
it's not, and I can send you the reconciliation we did to show you because some of the payroll expense is going to a contractual account instead of a payroll account, which is why I was assuming there was a manual journal entry going in somewhere, but I'll pull that.
Yeah, send me that, 'cause I don't know, 'cause
Yeah.
usually all of it comes out of there for payroll,
Yeah,
other than if it's the, last year, if it was the employer share, and it came out of the employee benefits,
mhm,
which could have been contractual, type thing.
okay, yeah, I'll pull that up for you and send it to you what we did. I mean, we got it close, so, I mean, it's just kind of one of, I think, the comments that we're making to make sure that,
And we're trying to do it until we get balance.
yeah.
Health insurance is
I know, I think part of that's our problem too, and some of the issue for us was we were double counting the reimbursement to the employee benefit fund, and then the expense that was coming out of some of the departments, so. It's just a little confusing, to say the least. But you're not the only county that has the confusion with the payroll reconciliation part, so. It's just kind of a process, I guess. Other than that, any questions? Concerns?
On anything,
Huh?
on anything.
On anything,
Okay,
yes.
we're running, I think we got it, but we are in the process, we have, signed a deal to buy a new road grader,
Okay,
and we're trading in two, and they're going to basically, that's gonna be our down payment, and then we'll have a lease purchase after that.
okay,
And so, but we may pay it off, if we include that in his actual budget, we may pay that off, say February, something like that. Is that legit to do it that way, using those other graders as even though we're buying the grader this year, that's a down payment on a lease purchase, that's legitimate?
mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay. Make sure.
Problem.
Okay. Then our employee benefit account, okay, we have, for all questions, yes, maybe transfer. Here it is. Here's the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what the balance is. It's an unbudgeted, I mean, really, I guess it isn't budgeted, but.
So you're wanting to
Each of our
transfer,
departments, yeah, each of our departments now account for their employee benefits to each
Right.
department.
mm-hmm.
So, I guess if we're asking, is that surplus money that we have, means that, there is some money being spent out of that, I don't know exactly what, but that's some money taken out.
What page you on, Mike?
Was it 14,000 because of the pay?
Well, you know,
18.
those 95,000 taken out this year. Yeah, see, I figured Hayes, that first, their half payment.
So employee benefits?
This is the general fund employee benefit line, right?
Oh, 95,000 is workman's comp. See, that's one of them that we can't automatically take out of,
Oh,
I'm gonna have to go in and do journal entries to throw it back into each department.
Oh, for each department, to allocate it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
okay.
have to allocate it back.
so that balance will go back to what?
Yeah, I gotta go back to each department and
Okay.
figure out the 95,000 and to each department.
So transferred out of each department back into,
Yeah, the only
So
one that we'll
transfer.
have to do we'll have to do something, yeah, I gotta do that.
So I guess what we're saying is if there's that money left, what can that money be transferred to? I mean, if that balance, if there's a balance left, what will we do with that next year?
You mean if you don't spend this
We're gonna
290?
transfer it after final audit. Whenever she does the final audit, then we're going to go ahead and transfer what we can, whatever is in the budget, whatever that you have budgeted.
Now on the general fund itself, like your line items, you're not restricted line item by line item to that budget.
Right.
So like one line item could go over, one line item could go be under.
Raise and rolls, yeah.
But as long as in total you have your budget, so whatever's left over at the end of the year in that budget, you can transfer that to your capital improvement, you can transfer that as long as you have the budget authority at that point,
I guess what our
and the
question-
cash to do
Why
that.
did we have, did we didn't get transferred?
that's where it's all run through, of course, never run through the departments before.
Are you
Right.
talking about the line item on employee benefits in
Yeah,
general fund?
he's talking about this
Well,
account.
that may do the fact that, because they were just estimates under each department that if somebody ran over, that there would be extra.
Maybe.
for the county part or something, I don't know.
So, yeah, I mean, you've got this line item budgeted, but everything's actually running up through here. I mean, so the assumption would be, let's say solid waste was way over in their employee benefits, well, you still have this portion of that budget that would cover, you know, that potentially,
Yeah,
I mean.
I thought you were talking about the actual employee benefit.
Well,
Fund.
the-
No,
We
uh-uh.
haven't transferred any of that money yet.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's what he's asking about, what can you do with that fund?
Oh, the fund that stops, so this is the general fund that stops.
Yeah, employee, there is an employee benefit, we haven't moved any of that money yet.
He's talking about this line item though, that's in the general fund for employee benefits, it's the department
But we
spending.
did pay Hayes, their half payment.
The employee, out of the old employee benefit fund, because you had agreed to do that in 2012.
Right.
Okay, so whatever's left in that employee benefit fund.
There's a contract
When
renewed.
did we back then?
That's what I'm saying, is anytime we use a consultant like that on that, why,
Which fund is the employee benefit fund?
Is it 144?
I'm starting to have all these memorized, you know.
I was too until it changed.
Yeah.
So this is what we have.
This is what you have
But I've got
left.
to check to see how much they actually paid the budget to. Or is it
The transfer, okay.
263 was
Some money just kind of go up, some money.
Yeah, it's like a non-budgeted, you don't have to count it against your budget, it's,
So see, this is all I can
funds
transfer.
that we already budgeted for.
Unless you amend the budget.
And then the budget.
Or you could roll it
at the end
over,
of the year.
just keep
Yeah.
rolling it over.
And transfer the whole thing.
I mean, it's probably,
So maybe you just roll over cash to cash.
So.
well, this,
we gotta
unless
do
you
like-
actually need the money.
Chris mentioned that.
Yeah, unless something would cause you to need this fund.
Yeah, the only thing, and you weren't here in the work session, you had, that was
So we can.
this other employee benefit firm, and they proposed something that if we don't get what we want from this other firm, we may go with them. But they have all, they deal with employee benefits, so they got so many contracts.
So, yeah, I mean, I just wait till the end of the year, and if you need to, just amend the budget to transfer for things for next year, but make sure it's included in your 14 budget, but.
So we can't transfer the 2,000 some.
That's still gonna leave you, still gonna leave you pretty
Then
good
she said
balance.
you could only add it to your 2014, but you don't need it.
Yeah, whatever.
Wait,
Now, make
transfer
sure you
the-
account for any new money that will come in, that you will collect, because you're still gonna collect taxes on that fund for the previous year's taxes that, you know, delinquent taxes and things that come in. And stuff like that. So each year, you'll have some additional funds coming into that, and you'll dwindle down the, you know, at some point, you could probably change it to have it,
And the account number, so it's good.
have it go directly into the general fund.
Well, we'll wait, we'll do something.
You might wait a couple, yeah, it should dwindle down though, to where it's like very small amount.
All the business, they want to move all of it over into this year. What do you want to leave the difference?
Yeah, but we can't.
So you just said like it's still collecting taxes?
Delinquency.
Delinquent taxes for the previous year's
Oh, I see
taxes.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. I said like I didn't think a mill was actually something.
Yeah, there was no mill on that.
Right, it'll just collect on what the mills were from previous years that it was collected.
But that's probably minute, isn't it? I mean, pretty small.
The first year it may be, I don't know what you have sitting in delinquency as far as, but the first year it could be quite a bit, that first year that you close it, but then after that it should go down quite a bit. I mean, I think you have a couple funds like that, so.
Yeah.
That same thing would go towards like the tort liability, you know, even though you closed it, you'll probably have some tax money come in this year on that fund, and you'll have to transfer. And all those funds that you ended up closing, the law enforcement, all of them, you'll still get money in there. Any other questions, comments?
Just special highway money, that they, the gasoline, that's been used for bridges, right, bridges or roads? Or just a certain account?
Yes, the special highway funds, the stuff that comes from the state, yes. So I have seen some people use it on sidewalks, but we don't advise that.
I could use
But
it.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty general, as long as it's fun.
Sidewalk is cracking, my thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Huh?
You
Or
talking
new
about
buildings?
Personal
Can they
sidewalk?
use it on a new building?
No,
Okay.
not the highway funds from the state,
Yeah, 'cause that's collected by gas tax.
right?
Can't tamper with those.
Yeah, it's,
Get a nice
Has to
little.
do
I mean, it's
with
pretty
something-
general
Maybe it's allotted.
what you can spend it on, but yeah, I
Yeah,
wouldn't do buildings.
something, roads or something.
It needs to be something.
It's
where-
very specific in statute, I mean, you probably get a nice audit, and probably get in
Like
trouble.
engineering services for roads or bridges.
Right,
20%,
right.
it's
Yeah.
10.
Right.
You know, we've had, you made a comment, that got me a little confused. We've been looking at, or have talked to a company that wants to change their software for accounting and stuff like that.
Mhm.
You said that maybe that's not that necessary, as long as it's standardized, you know, per se.
Mhm.
So I guess,
I don't know accounting need, like software needs, what you need to do there.
well, I want something that I can you know, that we can all kind of that every department can access and utilize, have a standardized system so that one entry gets it in the system and any department then can access it.
It's a non-Windows-based system right now.
Right, no, I know. No, I mean, what your IT needs as far as your accounting system goes, I mean, that is something that should be evaluated, but if you keep in mind, one, the cost to switch
Right.
is a lot. Two, make sure that they understand Kansas. Like, if you're looking at a new software, make sure that you do your research and that they understand Kansas KMAG. Because we have had several cities and things switch to these oddball software companies that are government, you know, and then they don't know anything about Kansas, and it becomes,
For example, the one company that made a presentation, I mean, they're ex-county, ex-county elected.
CIC.
CIC.
okay.
They're actually, a lot of them are ex-county employees, I mean, they've either been a clerk or a trade, you know, something like that, I mean, so I mean,
Mhm.
you know.
Just make sure, I mean, whatever you decide to do, just make sure you do your research, talk to other people that are using it, and make sure they understand Kansas.
Well, and we understand the cost is important too.
Yes, yes. And switching, I mean, my emphasis is, if you're gonna switch, don't switch because you think that this software isn't capable of doing what you need it to do. You know, first I would check with your current vendor and see what is this option for switching. It might be cheaper because people already know how to use the system, and it may have the capabilities of what you're looking for, but you're just not utilizing them, you know, those kind of things. But if you decide to switch, just make sure there's, you know, adequate training and things, you know, that you have all that stuff considered.
Well, that would be something that
and-
have to be in the plan, is there have to be some training and stuff going on with it.
And as far as having are you wanting the department to actually enter the data? Or are you still, I mean,
Well, whatever our decision is, whoever enters it, I mean, just so it has, you know, one person can get it entered and then did it, like it's in the system, then, I mean, everybody can, it's kind of standardized.
you're wanting someone to be able to at least see it, everybody to be able to see it?
Each department, if Matt wanted to go in and access something specifically,
Mhm.
he could go in and access and pull up, hey, this is what we've spent, for rock this year or something, you know, without having the secretary manually go through and stuff, she just pull it up on the computer, punch in a code, see, that's for my farm management, I can go in there and punch in a code, and I can tell you exactly how much data I spent on
Mhm.
fuel
Right.
in just a matter of a couple minutes.
Right, I understand. My only thing there which I don't have any problem with everybody having access to it, as long as it's limited.
It's
So
gotta
that
be, yes.
every department can't just go in and make changes, you know, because you're still, you know, your department, you know, your clerk is statutorial, you're responsible for these things, your treasurer, you know, those kind of things. So you wanna make sure
Right.
that they have access to see it, but not make any
Make any
changes
changes,
or things like
exactly.
that. That would be my only concern there.
I can see that.
Yeah, and then if you know, there are some software I think that would allow like your departments to enter the data possibly,
Yeah.
and somehow, you know, transfer, those kinds of things, you know. But whatever you do, we just wanna make sure that you have that process,
Right.
you know, the controls in place.
They're
to
gonna
make
get
sure.
that kind of standardized, unified, you know, uniform, so that we're, you know,
Right,
yeah.
right, which, yeah, so, I mean, whatever, and I'm not saying you don't need to switch, I'm not saying that, you know, you're.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's,
haven't
make sure
done
you do your research before you, because I hate to
Exactly.
see everybody get into this, you know, like, eyes wide open, like, I want this software because it's great, and then find out they don't know anything about Kansas sales tax, which is what I run into with this city, like, they had to have the software rewritten, because they didn't know that the Kansas sales tax laws. And so, it was, you know, so they've got a lot of cost into it that they never even thought about, thinking about as an issue, you know, until they got into it, and now they're kind of tied to it, so. Because it's a big expense, big change.
Oh, yeah. Anybody else, I took too much of your time.
Well, all I need in order to issue is this letter signed by you guys. I don't know if you wanna take the time to look at it and sign it later, that's totally up to you. But it's the mayor paragraph
Do
letter.
you see any improvements on the recommendations you made last year?
Sure, yeah, I think departments have been doing, you know, especially on the reimbursement side, I think things are changing there, and I think people, you know, the departments are understanding that part, I do, I think that things are getting changed.
Because I read last year's audit, and every recommendation was better books, better books, better books, keep better books.
Yeah. The big thing we like to stress is making sure that everybody understands that county general ledger, that's what we audit. Because everybody maintains their own departmental records, but a lot of times those things don't tie to what we're actually auditing. So when we go pull their records, we're like, what's going on here? But it's getting much better. I think departments are understanding kind of more what we're looking at when we get their stuff.
What about, one question I keep hearing among different board meetings is single component unit audits. I know typically it's that threshold on grant dollars, but should we be doing more single component unit audits of these outside agencies seeking funding or?
You mean like your mental health agencies and things like that are getting tax dollars?
Yeah, extension council, et cetera.
Ah.
Some of these groups were giving a pretty good chunk of, you know, sizable income, portion of their income.
Mm-hmm.
That's just talk I'm hearing among other officials, like as far as,
Whether you require, I mean, I know several cities and counties that will require those agencies to have, I would not suggest that the county goes and pays for these audits, or, no, I would suggest that you can require things like that, or require for sure at least an annual accounting. You know, some of the organizations are smaller that audits maybe are costly.
some are just doing like reviews, and some of them
Right.
make me a little bit nervous on if they're doing reviews for multiple years, they have the same thing as.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would certainly make sure that if you're giving anybody money, that you're requiring some sort of annual accounting, whether it's an audit, a review, or, you know, something from each one of them before you
Well, keep it.
approve that,
That's what-
especially the sizable. Now, the extension council, they are an actual component unit of the county
Yes.
by statute, and they would be required to have an audit. Now, KMAC has, they've changed the requirements of including, component units in the county audits or the primary government audit. They're not required anymore to be included, they can be included. They're usually less costly to those organizations when they are included, because they're not as big of a part of the audit. But the extension council would be required if they meet the receipts requirements, which I think we've evaluated it, and they've been just under that receipts requirement as a government, as quasi-governmental entity, they have a receipt threshold that they might be required to have an audit. Otherwise, unless they're included in the county and they're not having their own audit, they may not have an audited set of financial statements. Yet, I believe that K-State has their own oversight process also over those extension councils and districts. But I don't know exactly what that process is.
I would think they would, because they subsidize the fees, so.
Well, I think what he told me was that it's just a review, but it's not an audit. It's not, and it's not done by professionals. So,
Yeah, I don't know what kind of oversight they get over that.
does every county have an extension council?
Some have the council and the multi-county
The
councils
district,
are districts, and they are actually completely separate entities from any county. So I think like Nemaha County and
Nemo Jackson Jefferson is on the district.
they have a district, so they're like completely.
There's one out in Washington, there's 2 or 3 counties out there that's together.
Yeah, we saw a list of, there's more than a dozen, 12 to 20 now and stuff.
Mhm.
It's a very popular trend, particularly in the area, the less populated areas.
Yeah, yeah. Which that takes them away from being a county-related organization. And then, it's most likely though that those organizations actually are meeting those thresholds for audit requirements, because they're probably getting more money. But I don't know for sure. I don't agree.
They have their own taxing, they have their own, their own taxing.
Right, right. But yeah, I would certainly want a little bit of oversight, especially those ones where you're giving quite a bit of money to. You have the right to include that in your contracts with them.
How many signatures you need?
All 3 of you.
What if I don't want to be a part of that?
Please, all 3 of you.
It's just take the liability off of you.
Oh, kind of, not really, kind of.
Things go good, Matt.
I'm here. Mom pulled through.
Good. It's good.
Where'd you have it down?
Just here next.
number 18 on your list, the county.
Of course, that was, if that just pertains to 2018 or not, it would show 13.
Yeah, it talks about like assets, liens, like licenses.
In 12, I don't think we did, though. We did take out a loan to buy a couple ambulances and stuff, and we had to put some stuff in as collateral.
Yeah.
So that won't reflect up to that. I mean, it says there that they read it to them.
The county has satisfactory title to all owned assets. There are no liens or encumbrances on such assets, nor has any asset been pledged as collateral.
You could just write accepted maintenance, you is there, and then.
I mean, as it pertains to 2012 budget, it was okay.
Yeah,
But for 2013, but to the calendar year right now,
Yeah.
we do have liens.
okay, we'll change that for, make sure we get that changed. Okay. All right.
So, there you go.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, you guys have any other questions or anything in the future, just let me know.
Will do.
I will send that information to you on that payroll.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
What's that?
You got something real quick?
I was just,
We went.
I didn't know
Bridge.
if you want to talk about the bridge or, that's all I
You
had.
see?
Yeah.
Well, they're in good shape.
Well,
We walked across them.
Right there in the middle.
We can fill it in.
yeah.
Looks like the creeks need to be cleaned up.
Trees.
Dirt sloughing off in.
Yeah. You know, most of that is all far right away, though, there's nothing we can do about that.
No, that is, that to the east there is the.
Jeff mentioned maybe wait and do them all 1 year. I don't think we can keep that road closed that much in that south we can.
Yeah, when's the Dolby Bridge supposed to be replaced? I couldn't remember that.
Next year,
Probably
next summer.
So,
What do you think?
Yeah, that'd be the only thing is, in between there would be no access in between those two bridges for, 2 or 3 months next summer.
What's in between? There's only like one little drive, but I don't know what the fields are.
Well, I think, he's got hogs up there on top of the hill, in between those two bridges.
oh, that no trespassing thing?
That gate right there.
Yeah.
If you go through there, he's got, some livestock up on top of the hill there.
Could
If
be
he has
feral
other
tracks
access.
with that timber in
Through
there.
there belongs to be.
You do hog hunting, do you,
Hmm.
Wes?
I don't, it sounds like fun though.
At the same time, that's the question.
I know.
We did both at the same time.
300-pound boar.
I wouldn't wanna eat it after I shot it.
Sherman Road looks good. Or the Highway 73,
Yeah.
whatever it is, that looks real nice.
Yeah. What did you, we couldn't, none of us told her, but what was the estimated cost to replace, to redo the whole bridge back to?
I think it was, yeah, I got it right here.
Yeah.
To redo the south half was $24,843, and for the complete bridge it was $57,600.
Must have been thinking about another one. I was thinking in my head like 70-some thousand.
Yeah,
I
thought
must
it
have
was
been,
50.
must have been thinking about another bridge we did like.
And that's gonna be like the bridge out by, where was it, at the Kit?
Charlie Lang. Yeah, like,
Yeah, right by Lane
East,
Feedlot, or the same as the one at the county lake on the
Yeah.
north side there. They're all the same bridge, they're just different heights basically.
Where does that put you? I mean, is there enough left in your budget, you think? How is that gonna put you?
Well, I mean, I think we could squeeze it in this year if we just, really watch it and, just watch our spending,
If we don't,
I'm used to
we don't
things
need
like
much
this.
more rock, I can tell
Right.
you that.
Every year something like this comes up and we just, we work around it.
so we had an additional fund.
Yeah, that's special highway, but I was asking about the.
Yeah, it's a non-budgeted fund.
She said it was for bridges and roads.
Yeah. Why don't we just use that? Or do you guys wanna hold off on that?
No.
I think this is
But,
what it's designed for.
There will be, this, and this is a turnkey bridge, this includes, all engineering. This will get a stamp, plan and everything with this. So there'll be no engineering cost on top of this. And,
That's what it's designed for.
I tell you, if we're gonna definitely go through that,
That's what it's designed.
go ahead and get that
I
south.
would pick it up,
it'll say if, when we get done sealing and we start on River Road, I would have,
What page is that?
you know, enough guys I could go down there and
What
that's
do you
what
think? 4, 5, 8?
take, so what, replace it? We can do that in probably about 4 weeks.
Take 4 weeks to put that bridge in?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't think it'd take that long.
Yeah, it'd be 4 weeks.
You talking about the Dolby Bridge?
No, I'm talking about,
The other, take 4 weeks.
yeah, if we replace it ourselves, it'd be about 4 weeks. That's what took us down there at Lane Speed Lot.
Okay. You might contact, you know, with those other, I know since it's out of our rights of way, you might just contact them, because those are gonna impede something, especially the ones to the north and west. I mean, some of those are pretty big trees, those are gonna probably impede something.
And this if we did replace it with this bridge, there's no center piling in there, so.
See,
it'd
we
be-
couldn't see what,
Yeah.
you could walk across the field. and
You gotta walk down the south end and.
We didn't go.
And last time I had an encounter with a big snake down there, so.
Who won?
Well, I guess it was a standoff, it was just a black snake though, so.
Okay. You both decided to part ways?
That's right, yeah.
The way that you turn the corner.
More than once.
But that would help because there wouldn't be that center piling, there'd be just a one-span bridge. But, yeah, there's some trees in there.
I think it's your, like, the whole,
I mean, you don't
use
see
that
here.
fund.
If we had the excavator, then we could go, you know, we could.
I'm not in favor of just doing half of it. Because then in 5 years, then get the other half. And it's like buying 2 new tires, you're always buying tires. Just get the 4 tire and get the whole new thing.
But I'm with you on that because I think my recommendation would be to replace the whole bridge. Because if we did do the south half, then we would have to put the center span, center piling in the bridge.
You feel like cement on the decking, don't you, or?
Yeah, it'd be a concrete deck.
Maybe concrete.
No load limit.
How wide would it be, the new one?
0.46.
Oh, yeah, 'cause I measured it off, I was like measuring off 14.
Looks like you could cut 16, 18 foot
That's
of
about-
length off of it, which is the way the dirt is on there.
The problem is getting the permit, they don't, it's easy to make the bridge longer, but it's hard to make it shorter.
New revenue that's coming in.
Yeah.
If you don't cut down the length, you just get a general permit, and it's easy. But
It's the three.
if you cut it down, you have to do all the hydrology and on it, and, costly.
City,
Three up to
city,
4 or something.
102 and 200,
city has to for
Oh.
102 and 200.
Okay, so that's what this.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So like, there was somebody that
It
had asked us,
is
like, if we got a hold of
This
the
figure's
old
been
planks
so
or,
we're projecting.
you know,
City.
bridges.
The city.
Is that who it is?
Yeah, city has to
Yeah.
for some
As
more.
long as we don't
Is there a possibility we could, some of those
We
are
can only spend.
rotted,
what
I
we
could
have.
use them, stuff.
There's about 12 or 15 to the south is pretty good, and from
And we'll get one more payment.
over half of the bridge
Possible.
north, it's like something.
Bill stepped on mine, I think we could go through. You better step off of that.
Probably three, yeah, probably October.
It's a 1 ton bridge, and a 2 ton load on it.
That's all I say.
So we got,
I suggest using that, we would.
We're gonna use 50 of it,
Yeah.
or 50 cents.
60, just figure 60. Yeah, and there's another payment coming, she thinks it's another payment.
What's in the bridge?
Well, then why couldn't we use some of that for across there on the Dolphin Bridge as well?
That bridge
Because it's cost share.
is,
Is it good?
Good next year.
What about the, yeah, is there next year? Same with the intersections.
We might, if we could do it with River Road. If it's a-
Mm-hmm.
It's,
Pretty good size, you can't.
244th and River Road.
It's nice to have that kind of in the back pocket.
You know, it's just new bridges that fail.
Hey, while we're at it, Pat, did we do something on the bridge up there on, did we file something with the guy that went through that bridge? Did we ever hear anything back from their insurance?
You know, I've contacted the insurance companies and I've been in contact with them, but I don't have them resolved, it's on my list of things
Okay, that's fine.
to follow up on.
It just kind of crossed my mind that whether we ever got anything, I mean, not that I want to push it to the bill to take it to court, but I figured we sure ought to get, try $10,000.
The state number is,
We got two of them, actually.
1063
Yeah, the other one was
Point
just
two.
there, the other one was replacement.
dash 0370.7.
03,
0370.7.
What do you,
I'm gonna make a motion, we gotta figure out, what's the total amount?
The total amount is 57,600 even.
Okay.
And, I can bring up a PO too.
Yeah, well, I just wanna we should do a motion because it's a sizable amount just to give you the authorization to replace it. So I need a motion, to approve replacement of Bridge 1063.20370-17 bridge
on River Road,
on River Road in the amount of $57,600.
using special highway funds?
Using special highway funds.
I would make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Carry 3-0. Sorry, I didn't read.
Yes, oh, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Carry 3-0.
What fund? The
Special highway.
Special
Highway, should be approximately a little over 306,000 balance in that right now.
We'll talk about bridges real quick. Before we get into harvest season, I know last year when they went through that bridge, we talked about putting a weight limit on all the non-inspected bridges in the county. We might want to do that before harvest, so we're covered if somebody does go through a bridge.
You got those signed too?
I don't think so. If we did, did it for the whole county, I think what we were gonna do was, any non-posted bridge would be 9 tons. But that would cover us if somebody did go through a bridge.
You say 9 tons?
I think that's what, when we were talking about, that's what we were.
We can pass that, but would you have any concern about not
If they.
notifying him or, cause I
So
think,
we
I
have to
thought.
probably publish it in the paper or something.
Okay.
That's just the wrong way.
Yeah. Well, I thought Norm had said something about like head caution, I mean, you can do that, but I thought he cautioned about like. both
I don't know, I
things.
can call him and.
We might just touch it, it seemed like on that thing in early to show
How many-
March, he had
how many
said it
bridges
early.
He said it's very important that. they
Yeah.
get-
We're talking about,
Just so you know, I mean,
30.
at least I'd say more in probably 60 maybe, something like that. There's a lot of little wooden bridges
Some
around.
places there won't be much harvest. If it don't rain
Yeah.
anymore. I can tell you, western Atchison County, look at that.
Yeah, I know where I think I've seen a couple, I don't know if some of them look better than others, but I've seen one that.
It's spotty, yeah, it's spotty, I mean, it's actually over my father-in-law's place, the guy that bought his that one's burned up. It's fired all the way to the top.
Well, that might be some, I'll call Warren and talk to him about it. I know I'm in the less of time, but I have one quick township question, if that's okay. And it's gonna be directed a lot at Pat, probably. It was brought to my attention that, we've been across a lot of county bridges that we're overweight. Our grader, the township grader weighs about 35,000 pounds, a little over 17 tons. We're crossing a lot of county bridges illegally. I was wondering if the county would exempt the township from that, so we can cross bridges and not be held liable.
you can buy a helicopter.
One thing I worry about is you have other people with lots of equipment that would probably say, why?
Right, well, the only thing I thought is it is, the township is kind of a, you know, government entity and,
It sounds actually like another question for Norm, but, you know, it's a problem that's gonna get worse as equipment gets bigger and more efficient, or however you want to describe it, that, the infrastructure is.
well, and what brought this on is the township board told our grader operator to quit crossing one certain bridge, because of the weight limit, and the person that lives on that road, is saying that we're,
Yeah, neglect their work, neglect it.
that and, that we're singling them out.
They're doing this wrong.
I wasn't gonna bring up any names. But anyway,
That bridge,
that's
that's
what,
when they want to close?
no, it's right north of the Cook House. There's a bridge on each end, and there's a half a mile, no, not even a half a mile, of dirt road in between those two bridges. And we told them that we weren't gonna maintain it because we can't legally cross the bridges, and they're scary to cross with a grader kind of.
So
And,
so
he's saying we're
Same.
singling him out.
So basically, you want us to be the bad guys.
Well,
No, we just won't grant, I mean, the decision lies upon them. When it's, if we don't exempt them, they have to decide whether or not they're going to cross that to go do that.
there's several other bridges that we are crossing, he said we were crossing this bridge. So I guess either we're gonna have to stop crossing all the bridges we're not legal on, or try to get some kind of exemption.
Well, I think that just boils back, if we don't grant the exemption, it's still just like policy upon your township, how you want to get. That's why you get paid that $40 a meeting.
$50 a meeting.
Is it 50? Oh, wow, better than grandfather.
Okay, I just wanna run it.
Yeah, it's
I
probably
mean-
best that we don't exempt, I mean, that just opens up another, we got a lot of other people that have big equipment that would.
I just wanna run it by you.
Anytime, I mean, I think, you know, anytime on any of these bridges, we need to be getting proactive on that we can tube, that, you know, let's get to working on that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, both of these bridges are
Too wide span.
culvert won't work now.
Even double culvert.
Did you get-
It's in the, up, it's towards the top of the Independence Creek there, and they're just, gets too wild.
You got with Leroy on the tube cost, if you got back to you, so we kinda know where we're at there.
I will call Leroy, I haven't heard back from him. Have you heard anything from Leroy?
I have. No, because it's a new year for them, it's time for us to settle. They're running before the state's through.
Boy, they're around, huh?
Yeah.
I'll, get with him.
I told you about the PJ Cummings on the 2 mile, I guess that's the road right south of Tom's house, I don't know where, or no, but that one of the bridges said it was a little bit of Johnson around, he said it's in his field. I thought, why did he just have Allen spray?
Well, I forwarded that to Wes, because he's the, so.
Okay,
And Randy moved the sign,
okay.
because we did have it, I guess, in the wrong place, so he moved it.
Well, common sense tells you not to go down the road. But the guy that's growing them herbs up there that's built on his house is the one complaining.
Wes, how you doing? On the river the other night? Huh? Slept on the river the other night?
Thank you, Matt.
Oh,
You
yeah,
got
that was
this
fine.
okay?
Yeah, everything went fine, he said what they removed, he was 99.9% sure it was benign,
Whenever people.
it came out good.
You
You
know,
might get that.
From
You haven't got that.
Kim?
That's a big mistake.
I'm not. No, I just saw you there. Somebody there.
I'm all set.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Chuck, you have a question for us, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
is now the time, or when is time the meeting?
Yeah, that's fine, go ahead.
Okay, I was wanting a list of all the bridges we got in the county and the weight limits on them.
Okay.
I was out at the county shop, and she said I had to talk to Matt.
That map,
Oh, we had something online too, didn't we? We could probably,
I don't think that's online, but I can run a copy of it.
yeah,
does that show the weight limits?
shows probably the number of the bridge.
Yeah, the number, but it doesn't show any information about them.
Can you get a copy to him of, all the bridge listings and weight limits on each one of them?
And then, can I get a copy of the loads of rock you guys haul in your trucks and the weights that are going on each one of them trucks? I'd like to have a copy of that too.
I think you're
Where is
kind of
that?
on the left limb on that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, I think you can make an open
Open
records
record
request, an open records act request for it, but I don't know whether we have per load. Matt, you know, do we get a ticket every load or just every day, or?
No, we get a ticket every load.
So, yeah, you could get it, there'd be a cost associated with getting it, but certainly we could get it.
When they get a load on the truck at the quarry, does it put the truck number on the ticket? Do you know?
Yeah.
Is that something I can get from the quarry and just pay them to get a copy of them tickets?
I don't know, if the quarries,
They
like,
keep them.
yeah, I don't know if they keep them or what, I don't know what kind of documentation the quarries keep.
I mean, but you guys give me a letter to say that's okay for me to get that information from them?
We don't have to give Bill, he doesn't, right?
Yeah, and there's a state law that they're open records, they're public, we're happy to give them to you. If you're wanting copies of them, there'll be the cost associated, the cost of the copies, it's not gonna be hundreds of dollars or anything.
No, I hope not.
Well, reasonable cost of copies, and I have no idea how many, do we get a one-page ticket every time we,
No.
what do we
We
get?
just get,
50 cents.
every load, we get a copy of the ticket.
So that's gonna be like a page.
Yeah.
Each ticket's gonna be a page, probably.
Yeah,
So how many tickets do we get?
a lot.
You want
Put you on page.
100,000?
I just wanna get an average weight of what them trucks are hauling across them bridges, is what I wanna get.
A month's worth, maybe?
Nah, one load's gonna be plenty for me.
Just the most recent,
Do we know the destination of, like, the hard part would probably be, like, do we know the destination of each truck?
Within a half mile, we know
Okay.
where they're going.
You know where it's going?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll have to make a request. Do you have internet access?
Oh, yeah.
I think you can get an open records request form off the website, or you could get one down at Pauline's office.
Mm-hmm.
Then I just bring that up to you guys,
No, you get back to
Take it
me.
out to Bob,
Or-
Matt, take it to Matt.
take that to Matt, and then he'll
Yeah,
give
you
me,
gotta fill out what you're requesting, what documents you're requesting,
okay,
and, well, we get it for you.
okay. Oh, then the other question I got, is the county exempt from crossing their bridges overweight
Yeah, there are bridges.
There are pretty.
in your trucks, okay? Now, several different ways you can look at that. I cross bridges overweight too, and I don't think there's anybody in this room that say they haven't. Most of our pickups weigh more than some of them bridges will take. But, now, if we're gonna overload them trucks and cross them bridges, is that liability on the county if one of them trucks go through for the employee in the truck?
Well, yeah, we'd have to replace it, I mean, so yeah.
I mean, what happens to the employee?
That's just part of cake,
Kansas work comp, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, and then, do you know if the townships are exempt from crossing the bridges to maintain the roads for public use? They used to be.
I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so, I mean,
And the county's just exempt because they own the bridges, correct?
well, I mean, our standard, we would hope that we weren't crossing, underloaded bridges. I mean, that would not be, good safety practice, number one, but I mean, we're at liability because we're the ones that have to maintain and own it. I mean, as far as like townships go, I mean, no, they wouldn't be exempt. We just had discussion before that, and we're gonna choose not to exempt any townships from crossing that.
But you know, there's a lot of different laws in the state, and I'm sure you're aware of this, and you gotta read each appendage underneath that. There's nothing that exempts a township from maintaining a road in the state, under any law. They're not exempt from crossing them bridges or nothing that are you 100% sure of that?
I couldn't probably speak without researching it. I mean, you know, as far as, you got two questions, you got bridges and you got the roads.
Well, the bridges are my main
The
concern.
bridge.
Yeah,
Exempt them from maintaining the bridges or
from maintaining the road.
maintaining the roads?
North of my house, I got a stretch of road that is not very long, okay? It's got a 6-ton bridge on one side and 11-ton bridge on the other. They won't grade it, they won't rock it, they won't nothing. They won't even rock the road that comes down to the bridge because they say they can't. And there's a nice place to turn around at the bottom. That's my question. Now, the one bridge is 11-ton, correct? And there's a lot of 11-ton bridges in here. Well, they'll cross it, but they won't cross that 11-ton bridge. So that's what I'm aiming for right now. It's just some information and
We can give you the information, but concerns about whether or not a township is maintaining the road, you need to take up the township.
oh yeah, I do. He's right here.
Well, but we don't have the authority to order a township to maintain the road or not.
Oh, I understand that. Yeah, I do completely.
So,
Yeah. I do, but if the county's exempt from it, maybe we can get the county to come grade it. Now, would that be something the county could do? The townships hired the counties before. Can we hire the county to grade this section of road
Be an issue we'd have to discuss.
on a regular basis? Well, that's what I'm asking you guys right now, to discuss that issue.
well, you asked you asked, could they do it, or could they? Yes, I suppose they could. Would they do it? We've had a number of people that have asked us to, for example, let us pave a road one time and then you take over the maintenance of it. And the commissioners have routinely declined to do that because they don't want to take more roads into the county road system than are necessary. I guess they'd consider it if you made a request to take a portion of the road over as a county road.
Well, we can go that route. I mean, I think I get more for my tax dollars doing it that way. What I'm asking is when the county's traveling between roads, if they could drive through there and we can pay them for a half hour of their time.
If you say we, who is we?
The
The
taxpayer.
individual or
The township would have to make
the
that
township?
request.
Do what?
The individual there or the township?
Can do what? If the
You're
county
asking-
can grade the road.
You're asking, can we hire them out? Are you saying, can an individual hire the county, or can a township hire
The township.
Okay, the individual definitely cannot. We're forbidden by statute from doing that. A township, they could.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
That's what I just asked them.
all right.
But the request will have to come from the
Yeah,
county.
township will.
And how do you make that work when they won't cooperate with you to take care of a piece of road?
You have to deal with that. That's what
You
the
do?
governing bodies are dealing with.
And that's what I pay taxes for, right?
Well, you're paying your township, so that's,
And they won't grade the road, so then what's my next option?
Run for township board.
What's my next option?
Run for the township board.
Oh, really, in another 3 years?
Well,
What's gonna happen to the road then? If you wanna be smart, I'll get smart. I'm just trying to get a problem resolved.
I'm not trying to be smart.
I think you are, but that's what I'm trying to do, is get a road grader that I drive 7 times a day. So I come to my county. My township won't help me, I come to my county. Now where do I go?
Is this the road you want to get closed?
No,
2 months ago?
no, but we can explore that option too, I guess. I'm up here asking you guys, where do I go now to get my road graded? That's what I'm asking you. Is the county gonna help me?
Well, the only way the county would probably grade it is if we took over the road, that's the only other way. I mean, I don't think we've ever contracted out typically with townships outside of like anything abnormal, like trenching or something like that.
We could cure a lot of this problem if our trustee in the township would cross the 11-ton bridge like across the rest of 5-ton bridges. That'd cure this problem. It'd be that simple. That's 11-ton bridge. The bridge down my grandpa's 11-ton bridge. It's probably 15 feet longer, and they'll cross it. It's a 5-ton bridge by my dad's, they'll cross it. There's a 6-ton bridge out there, I think by Heldman's, they'll cross it. So, we could resolve this problem right there. And everybody's in the room to solve it right now. Whether it's the right time, I don't know. I don't know the rules, but I can't get anywhere at my township meeting.
Okay.
So, if I come to you guys for help, and I can get nowhere.
Well, it's not something that the commission has any jurisdiction.
That's what I'm up here to ask. Where do I go next? Nobody said who do I go to next?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're really asking for legal advice. You need to talk to your lawyer about it. So,
Well, I can do that.
okay.
But I'm up here just trying to go, you know, you go to your township, and you go to your county, and then what do you do? Get your lawyer?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, we're limited on certain things, just the way the structure of Kansas government is. We're limited on certain ways that we can approach or do things. So, I mean, that's, you know, our hands are tied, you know, so to speak, in some areas. I mean, it just depends on what you're truly wanting us to do. I mean,
Well, if the township won't take care of it, and I can't get them to give you guys a request to hire them to do it, just to take care of this little stretch of road, that's what I'm up here for. Get it graded, get it taken care of. It's no big deal. You know, that's what I'm here for. It's really it's no big deal if somebody cross a bridge.
okay. Does the grader exceed the 11-ton limit?
I don't know. Nobody knows for sure what the grader weighs. I talked to another guy on the board today, and I said, "Do you know what the grader weighs?" No. Nobody knows for sure
Okay.
what it weighs.
Yeah.
But if the grader weighs more than what, 22,000 pounds, that's 11 ton, right? Okay, are we gonna quit crossing all the bridges then?
That's up to your township.
I mean,
You're
so far,
asking a township question.
Well, but they're county bridges.
But the limits are on the bridges for a reason. It's not, right, to inconvenience people or, you know, they're on there because the engineers have told us that's the limit that they can bear and have a reasonable life and whatnot, so.
Correct.
So, yes, we want people to obey those. We want individuals to obey. So even during harvest time. So.
I understand that, but you know, everybody's gotta make a living. I'm not the only one crossing overweight. So sometimes you have no choice whatsoever.
Okay.
But I think we can get a grader across 11-ton bridge, if we can cross 5-ton bridge, that's what I'm saying. But as far as the documents that I want, the bridges and the weights I can get without asking for this Open Document Act thing. Or do I need to get,
Records Act.
or do I need to get that in writing too?
Well, yeah,
Look at that.
yeah, we can get that for you. The only reason I'm asking for something in writing about the other one is that you may be requesting thousands of pages of documents. And
I just asked you if I could go up to court and give them myself, between me and the court.
Sure, go ahead.
And I asked you if I needed you guys to sign a piece of paper, to give to the court that says I'm entitled to this information. That's where that question comes from.
No, you have our permission to go get that.
Can I get that in writing?
Sure, you want me to send a letter to you, or
Yeah.
what's your name?
Charles Bowman.
Spell-
B as in Victor, OLLMER, 10697, Kyle Road, Lancaster.
Let's see.
66041,
This one, let me see something.
913-370-0821. to me, that'd be good.
Sure. Okay.
I guess, thank you. We ain't getting nowhere, but feel like I wasted a little bit of your time and my time both, but
No, I mean, that's what we're here for. I mean, we're here, it's an open meeting, so it's not a problem. You're exercising your right, so.
right. But, if I can get one member of the township to ask you guys to take care of that road, is that enough?
You're gonna need three,
You're gonna vote, you need a
Yeah.
Gonna need three or just majority vote?
majority.
Okay. Okay. That's all I got. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Wes, what do you got?
Several things.
Okay.
Okay, first, the AT&T bill, now that I understand it. Master agreement is just legal terms, there's no prejudice or nothing, that's just all of that legal term, that's what everyone can see, that's good. Were you able to read the master agreement, do you agree with what, that emailed you for AT&T?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's an adhesion contract, it is take it or leave it,
Yeah.
there's no negotiation
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah.
There's nothing unlawful about it.
Okay, so on that one, I need you guys to.
Just one.
And then
Just
this
one
one,
signature, don't you?
just one signature. This one, now that I understand it, it was listed in here, I just didn't understand.
It was hard to find it.
I agree, you take the 20
Yeah, I
meg,
kept looking for that.
you take the 20 meg price, we get a 92% discount, that comes up to $317.60.
What page you on, Wes?
Is there a page number on that?
8 of 13.
Almost right back.
317?
317.60 plus the 5 years. So, it's 20 meg price.
Between that, we have nothing
You
to do
take that
You
times
just-
the 92% discount.
we have nothing to do with it.
and
So
you-
we can take it times 8%, and that's our cost, right?
Well, not quite.
No.
Maybe times 80.
92% discount.
Yeah, times 8.
That means
yeah,
it's only
yeah,
8%
yeah,
on
correct,
all that.
correct. And you get $317.60. Plus, you go to the back page where they actually had our name listed in the spot, and it's $9.50 for the fiber charge.
Okay, I saw
So
those.
$9.50 plus your
Right at the end of it.
$17.60 gives you your, it's only the $12.67
That's the okay. This is what you call this, the fiber cost?
fiber cost, yeah.
That's monthly, right? Monthly.
Correct.
right?
And I asked them, they were like, why do you make it so difficult? And they're like, because we do have the same contract for every customer we have. I was like, no, so it's not.
I think Kyle said this goes in effect as soon as that cable's laid too.
Correct,
If the phone's 2 months behind it,
correct.
they're not gonna be paying for
But they won't have this done 2 months behind it, you'll see it.
I think, so basically, I mean, it appears to me that the contractor, the phone system, what we're kind of paying right now about covering those months, this is the only extra that we're going.
And not all of this is extra, only part of this is extra.
You're part of that,
Yeah.
okay. So if I recall, your estimate earlier was it's gonna cost us about $12,000 a year initially. Now,
Just this year, next year will be fine.
just the one.
Yeah, just this year, next year will be fine because we'll have it budgeted.
Right.
That helps us a little more than that's just this year, yes.
Right.
For the first 5 years, and then after that, we'll be saving.
Because of the call, we use that, internet, and the phones, the equipment to be purchased, and
Yeah.
but is this gonna be an ongoing?
This is going to be an ongoing charge for the rest of time.
So will this be then prorated among the projects?
Yes, which I have a sheet because Mr. Channel was asking me how to do that, and I already wrote that out for him. Of this or that?
Well, here, it's,
I will give you a copy of everything.
Why do you know what you're talking about?
For the fiber,
Okay.
they're going to sign a contract, it'll cost us $12.67.60
Clearly needs to go to something.
per month. And that is 20 meg fiber
Okay, that's the.
for all
They say
of
that's
their
three, so
products.
I'd say we could just
That's
We said push
$20,000.
meeting back to 2, so we
Right?
left
Yes.
one, inclusive
Get
of
a
lunch.
90% discount,
Well, yeah, we-
92% discount, yes.
comes to
we don't have to take
$376.
lunch.
No, 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 no.
I think one small and not all of it's better than nothing.
Here's our original price.
I can't believe it take that. If we just tell them that we can overstay that, then we got a regular meeting, because we like to leave there at 1:30, we be back here.
Then you add that to the.
Fiber optic.
So fiber optic charge of $950.
Jim's,
Yep.
you need to email Dennis to say that's our meeting day, and we could state approximately, then we have to.
Now we got it.
Okay.
Well, I'll give you a copy of it.
Okay, well, I'll put it in the file.
Maybe they can work, maybe we can work on through till 12:30 or something, and then they can have a lunch break.
So I get a motion for you to sign both of those.
Mr. Chairman, I move, we authorize Chairman Schuler to sign the pricing agreement with AT&T for the fiber optic, and then the master agreement with AT&T.
Got a second? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. 2, 3, 0.
Cool, really. So fine.
Blue.
So,
They love their blue ink.
As bad as the terms.
Not me, I don't care what you find in it. Maybe you can hear it.
I'm just gonna cut. Yeah, it is smart.
Gonna have some good news for you next.
yeah. We're here.
We found a $1,260 for some income.
No, I did find your money, but no.
So it's 27.
First.
Did you get there?
No, not that much money.
Just that one.
Is this the one we got there, Bill?
So far, yeah. I'm sure you copies of these from my check.
Wait, is that in a folder or what?
Yeah. Copies of the agreement.
Okay, I will send it over to Paul.
Okay.
So if we're bringing back, I got some questions on IT.
Oh, it's a bunch of Mr. Channel, Mr.
You said 22nd.
Third, my third. That's it, there's no more sign, I just had other stuff on there, but to get into the big
I like
stuff, explain to you.
Is that the one I need to sign, Bill?
Okay.
There were a couple in there.
I just seen one.
We got,
Well, you had signed one.
we redid some of our phone system, well, we just realized how the server was going to work, and it paid us $4,000. So we're gonna have you re-sign up on, Lester.
Abatement and everything.
That's good.
Oh, sorry, $3,900, just so I make sense.
So about 4,000.
About $4,000 cheaper than what you'd already signed, and so they want you to sign up and seal. Did you hear all that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're spending, instead of $177,788, we're now spending $173,811. No, just one unit.
Is it just an amendment?
Yes.
What do you call that?
Yes.
I move we authorize chairman to sign the amendment with the local group from the
AOS, then keep on it.
AOS, for lower cost, $173,1181.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
2, 3, 0.
Was Peggy gonna talk to Wes about some computer issues she had? I believe she was one asking some questions.
Peggy House. Yeah. And then, what was the other one? That's it. Okay, so when you left to her, so she can attest that you signed it. Then, sometime later. Sure. While she's doing that, the only thing I've left is Kyle and myself are going with Pauline and Shelley down to the, CIC convention in Winchester Hall. I could talk right now, just there.
Winchester has one.
Yeah, they live in Winchester.
Wow, they are coming on, aren't they?
At the convention.
And the convention center, is that what that new library is in Winchester?
It'd be close, I took my own bed, I would have done that. Put on there, come on. Make a little more legit that way. Come on, let's do that. Did you see what the contract originally was that, and this is the minute?
Okay,
drop
no,
like that? So I did that for you guys too. And that's it.
We did, just for your information, when Melanie was on here, I asked her about that, you know. She just said to make sure if we ever do any changes, that whatever we say for the sake of everything is equal, or make sure we know what we're getting into.
She was talking, we talking about computers.
Well, that, see, they're going, isn't that the CIS? CIC, that's the commerce, or that's the account.
What's your Shelby already in the treasurer, or in the clerk's office? Dean's office, I can't talk today. And so we're trying to learn more of the administrative side of it when we go down there. And then if the rest of the county, we do have some things, so and that'll help us also.
Well, and what she was just saying, she said,
Sure that there's a Kansas walls or something.
no, well, Kansas law operates that stuff.
KMAC, make sure it's KMAC compliant.
Correct, which they're in multiple counties, multiple
Well,
counties.
they get county for
Yeah.
selling.
Yeah.
Just make sure it's like KMAC
Correct.
compliant.
So we don't have to, yeah, because she was saying they've got into several municipalities that didn't have, they're kind of, maybe, she said off-brand software.
Mhm.
They had to go and rewrite certain parts of the program across the board.
Is it K9?
KMAC.
Kansas Municipal Audit Guy.
I'm sure they are, but all of it,
I would think so. Don't let her brainwash it too much.
You got my email about how I'm going on vacation this week, did y'all get that? Maybe, yes, maybe not. Maybe not.
Wednesday.
I'll be out of the state for 4 days, 3 days, 4 days. But I have people covering my shift and, or my, in case something bad happens. So, and then they can call me and I can come back if I need to.
What happened to the storm that was headed this way?
Yeah, the storm that's coming from Manhattan is going to stay south of us, what we got this morning, probably all around here.
Did you see, I seen Nebraska was over there.
Doing it?
Yeah.
Right, right.
I said, boy, we're gonna get to sit here and watch it rain while we have a commission meeting, now it's
No,
sunshine.
they got the county and just kind of.
Just,
So,
It's
I thought
because-
we were gonna get more rain than we did, because we got right to the northeastern tip of Washington County, the green stuff is earlier, and it's kind of broke apart.
yeah, the green part is not there, so it's gonna be about yellow and light, really like that.
Well, green would be better than nothing.
That's true, that's true.
So, yeah, no, it's got Marshall County to pay the, there's a big dome over us, I guess, right now.
Well, there's certain areas that it's been getting rain, I mean, you know.
It's like, right, West Africa, we got an inch and a quarter out of that last storm, and in my house, we got 2 inches. So,
Yeah, so we had,
yeah, didn't even settle that.
no, radio station in 2 1/4, at Kansas area.
Here now.
No, radio at, and, I walked at 2 1/4.
Well, I heard down here about almost 3/4 of an inch.
There's places around here, I think Jeff said, I talked to him, but they got anywhere from 2/10 to 9/10.
Yeah, we got this, so.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, our corn looks great.
You guys needed me up.
Big profit.
Yeah.
Could have stayed. Do you guys have any more questions for him?
Not right now.
Not right now? All right. Well, I'll see. Have a great day.
Josh, what do you got for us?
Hey, I just bring up those papers. Yeah, we had talked for my haircut thing. About the school, isn't it?
something happening up north, 'cause it's coming, I'm afraid. Loggers and mats and graders, neighbors.
That same road that's been debated.
No, something about, and then again, I don't know when Matt quit grading the road.
It's up by a house they own, isn't it?
Pardon me?
Isn't it up by a house he owns?
Yeah, well, he lives in a house.
Young Chubby's living in. Yeah, it's gonna be great for a while.
Is it?
No, I pulled up on that, but it was
There's no gravel. I don't think everything's gravel. Up to the, on the north side.
Okay.
Matt claims he can't take the grader over a 5-ton grader.
Yeah, number 15.
Chucky claims that.
Did you wanna talk about my budget at all?
We're gonna do budget work session tomorrow, is it 1 or 1:30?
I wanna be.
Only, we're gonna do a budget workshop session at, 1:30. 1:30 tomorrow?
I'll find out.
Yeah.
I think that's what Chris said one time.
1:30?
Yeah.
I'll be at a meeting tomorrow, so.
You will be in meetings all day tomorrow?
I'll have one tomorrow.
We got a big session here in 15 minutes, Chris is tracking that up. Was there any major changes that you need to make, or?
Chris told me about it, and I told him at Wednesday work, but I forgot I had that meeting medical.
Well, we got key corrections in the meeting tomorrow too. Okay. Let's, we'll go through the budget session tomorrow, and then if we need to make special comment with you or something like that, we can do that.
I'm not sure, yeah, depending on how long we got, quite a few others that we got.
Yeah.
Thank you.
1:30 until when?
How long ago, until we're finished, I mean, possibly 5.
See you there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can't give an ending time, but,
1:30 until finished?
yeah.
Until we kill you.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, no, wait, I don't think we're gonna go like that, it's good. Yeah, I move we go into executive session, like 10 minutes about.
10 minutes. Yeah. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yes. What's it on?
Personnel matter, not like personnel,
Okay.
so we're including you on this.
Me?
Yes, it's not about you, but it's concerning personnel.
Okay.
Did you hand this out, Paul? Did you print this off, or is this your copy?
What is that?
That's the
And
property.
then, so